Karibuni, 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 asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. Karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi is Ubuntu, otherwise known or most popularly known as Kiswahili. That's that language. And it basically means welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being with us. The name is Nduku. I'm the host on Kumbukeni. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. Today, we're having a much lighter conversation, a conversation that is going to help us manage how we deal with everything, all the challenges that we are facing, and make life much, much more easier. And I'm happy to have our brother with us today. Brother Lloyd, please introduce yourself.
Hi. Thank you very, very much, Nduku, for inviting me. My name is LLoyd Strayhorn. I am an astronumerologist. For those that are not familiar with the term, it means I blend both the ancient African sciences, notice what I said, the ancient African sciences of both astrology and numerology together. And for the purpose of beginning to gather an understanding, to make us understand why we are who we are, what makes us special, to follow our course of life in the direction that we take, and a whole lot more.
Yeah. So I met, sorry, y'all, I'm multitasking, right?
That's all right. That's a good thing. So
yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for telling them that. And you will speak to all that. Thank you. I want you to also speak to like the things that we stress about in life like that, right? And having to say, constantly saying sorry for things that we don't need to say sorry. So please expand, find room.
I think that is just a cultural, at least here in the West,
exactly.
Because we're not robots, although they're trying to replace us with robots. And so we're going to make mistakes as long as they're what are called innocent mistakes. So the thing is, so excuse me, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what? What did you do to be sorry for? You see? So it's those kinds of things. So I just think it's just part of the cultural programming of people.
Yes. And we have to reprogram, right? So Brother Lloyd has written the book, Numbers and You, a numerology guide for everyday life. But I encountered and was in community with him recently at the Source of Knowledge bookstore in Newark. And it was a blessing sitting with him. So I'll let you, instead of getting into that, I'll let you all experience the blessing that the knowledge that Brother Lloyd carries is to us all. So I will be quiet and mute. My brother, take over.
Well, I'll do what I can. Well, the common glue between astrology and numerology are the planets. Now, they're kissing cousins. One way asks, which comes first, astrology or numerology? Most people will say astrology because that's what they have been accustomed to. Actually, it's numerology first. Why do I say that? Well, if anybody's ever gone to an astrologer, they know they need to know the month, the day, and the year they were born, the time they were born, and the location. Numerology doesn't need that, okay? The one thing that numerology does that astrology does not do is it takes your name into consideration too. So let's say we're talking about astrology, and I say, oh yeah, you're a Taurus and you're a number 8 and this, that, and the other. However, you have a name, and this is the one thing that astrology does not do. It takes into consideration your name. So your birthday indicates like why you're here, but your name also indicates what you know. And it's by transposing the letters of your name into numbers. Okay. And it's just that simple. And so what's amazing is these numbers act as a guide. They are designed to give direction, to give focus, to give purpose. It explains the characteristics of the person, the personality of the person. It also lists numbers that are very important to you, days that are very important to you, dates and months and years and ages, and a whole lot more. So let's say if we pick somebody who is born May 8th, right? We know they are an earth sign with an earth number. So that means this particular individual, whoever they may be, are very practical. They're very grounded. They're very down to earth. They're a little conservative. They're a little misunderstood, but to know them is to love them. Okay. Because 8 is governed by Saturn, because each sign is governed. So Taurus is governed by Venus, and the number 8 is governed by Saturn. So in your birthday, there would be what is called a Saturn-Venus conjunction or relationship. And so that's how it works. So all of us have these special qualities within ourselves. And this is why we're all very special. There hasn't been one person I haven't met that isn't special in some way, shape, or form. But because of the programming or lack of how I'm describing it, we're also busy wanting to know what Beyonce is doing or this person is doing or whatever the case is, as against discovering what we need to do with ourselves. Because we can support Beyonce, but Beyonce's not going to pay your bills. She's not going to buy your food. You know what I'm saying? So no matter who you're looking at or what celebrity you're focusing on, it's just not going to happen. So it's a matter of focusing what every one of us, and the beauty about the Creator is all of us have a certain talent, gift, skill, and ability that we can take advantage of. It's just discovering what that is. You know what I'm saying, Induku? So that's what makes all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I did your name in NDUKU under the Chaldean system, that added to 23. So it indicates, so in 2 plus 3 is 5, to give you an example. 5 indicates people who are very smart, intelligent, multifaceted, multidimensional, multi-talented. It also indicates people who don't like people who are slow, dull, and please don't be boring, okay? It also don't like to repeat themselves too many times. And it's interesting because the name will attract to them the zodiac sign of a person. So since your name is a 23, which is a 5, and 5 rules Mercury, so you will attract Geminis to you. You will attract Virgos to you, or anybody born on the 5th, the 14th, 1 plus 4 is 5, or the 23rd of the month, like the person I met, because 2 plus 3 is 5. It also means from this name, you will always know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. 5 is the number of communications, import, export, the stock exchange, the literary field. 5 is the number of great writers. 5 is the number of youthfulness. 5 is the number of diversity, and it's just a never-ending story. And that's just one part of the personality. Then there are cycles that you go through. So if I says, okay, if a person is born May 8th, what kind of year are they going through? And what I do is I take the month they were born, May, the day they're born, 8, and I add it to the year I want to know about, in this case, 2026. Well, this person, therefore, happens to be in a 5 personal year. Now, 5 is always indicative of change, a change for the better, okay? It's like, it's at the midway point between 1 and 9, because, see, in numerology, the numbers only go from 1 to 9. So if somebody says, okay, Lloyd, well, what about 10? Well, 1 plus 0 is back to 1. What about 11? Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. What about 12? 1 plus 2 is 3, and so on. So the numbers only go from 1 to 9. So in this 9-year journey that you happen to be on, that means this year you're at the midway point in your 9-year journey. And it brings about change, and normally changes for the better. It's a cycle that deals with possibilities and opportunities along the journey. And the best way to hold on to is to let you go. Not always where you going, why you going there, when you coming back, how long you going to be. At first it's cute, but to do that every day would drive you crazy. You know?
Yep.
So each number has a gift. So for example, number 1s are normally your leaders. They're very independent, very self-reliant. They don't take orders well, unfortunately, but a winner always comes in first place. Maybe that's why. They are drawn or attract those under the signs of Leo, Aquarius, and Aries. And their best day is always on a Sunday. Their best months are always in February and August. So if I take a number 2, and by the way, number 1 people means people born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any month. They're number 1s. Or you can reverse and say, if you're a Leo, or an Aquarius, or an Aries, this would be your trait. Number 2 people are born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, and the 29th of the month. Now, 2s are very sensitive, where 1s are very forceful, 2s are very peaceful by their very nature. They like to settle a peace. They're known to be cooperatives. They're known to be healers. They're very sensitive about things, very intuitive. They're very romantic, by the way, too. They like to collect things, or they find it hard to throw things away. Okay, so they always have a choice. And if you notice how the number 2 is written on the paper, it's almost shaped like the intestines of the stomach, because 2 people are normally very sensitive, in particular about their eating habits or dietary laws. And they like to collect things because it's the little things that count for them. Their best months, their best day is always on a Monday. Their best months tend to be around July, especially. So let's say you have a person that's born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, because 1 + 2 is 3, 2 + 1 is 3, or the 30th of the month. Or maybe if they're in the Pisces or Sagittarius. Well, 3s are known to be expressive, expansive, creative, imaginative, articulate, fun to be with, cheerful, very, very positive about the things they do. 3 people have a lot of ambition. They always want to make something of themselves. 3s are very popular. So, for example, I noticed before we start the show, I heard Al Sharpton in the background. Well, he's a number 3 person, and he is known to talk. He's at everybody's funeral but his own. That's the most amazing thing. I don't know how that works, but it's just funny. And
it works by staying alive, but go on.
Exactly. Good point, Induku. Good point. So, and 3 people are very positive. They're just born optimists. They'll turn a rainy day into a sunny day anytime by attitude. They bring that cheerfulness to them. So 3 rules Thursday, and it also governs the months of March and December. Okay. So let's say if a person's born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, or the 31st, because all these dates add up to a 4, or if they come under the signs of Aquarius, in a minor way, Leo. Well, 4 people like to be different in Dooku. If everybody does it one way, they can't help themselves. They got to do it another way. So this is why I call 4 the number of secret enemies: jealousy, envy, insecurity. But 4s are just visionary. They like to they're just ahead of the curve. They just tend to do things far in advance of other people. They like to think outside the box. They're very unconventional. They will be described as rebels, yet they are very sensitive like the number 2s, although they know how to disguise it, okay? And 4 is a revolutionary number, so that's part of how that goes. Its best day is always on a Sunday, followed by a Monday, and its best months are always in the months of February, June, and August. Now, let's say we got a number 5 person. They're born on the 5th, the 14th, or 23rd, because 1 + 4 is 5, 2 + 3 is 5, or they come under the sign of Sagittarius. They come under the signs of Gemini or Virgo. Well, 5 people are very adaptable. 5 people tend to know how to work well under pressure, although they claim they don't like it. It's like the more they're pressured it is, the more they come through in the clutches. Okay, 5 is governed by the rulership or the element of air, so they're very logical, which is why they make excellent speakers and excellent writers and things of that nature. 5 is always constantly curious about things. They can't help it. 5 like to ask a lot of questions too, because they're just curious enough. Well, why did you do that? Things of that nature. 5 people tend to do very well no matter what the conditions are, and they're very, very adaptable. They're kind of mutable, which means they kind of can adjust with the way the weather goes. The best day for number 5 is always on a Wednesday, and their best months is always in June and September. Now, let's say you got somebody born on the 6th, the 15th, because 1 plus 5 is 6, or the 24th, 2 plus 4 is 6, or if they're governed by the signs of Taurus and Libra. Sixes are very pleasant. Sixes, the women are normally very attractive, the men are good looking, and they normally have what are called great personalities. In school, the history is they're either the crowd pleaser or the teacher's pet in school. Oh, we've never had no problem out of Penduku, Miss So-and-so, when they come to see you. You know, it's that kind of energy. Six people have a very good sense of judgment. Six people have a very good sense of right and wrong, okay? It's about fairness for them. You could be knowing a person forever and they do something wrong, and you could be just knowing this person. You could say, well, you know, although I know that they're really right, that kind of thing. Sixes can be very stubborn too. Sixes are always, I call, a work in progress. They either want to go to school or take a course or a workshop or go on a retreat. They're always elevating themselves. That is their purpose. Six people are very steadfast. And this is the number that is designed for service to the community, service to humanity, or service to the world. That is their mission. This is why they make nurses and doctors and lawyers and psychologists and teachers and professors and anything. They do well in law and real estate and banking as well. The best day for the number 6 is always on a Friday, and especially in the months of May and October, okay? The number 7, that's anybody born on the 7th, the 16th, 1 plus 6 is 7, or the 25th. 7s are like 5s. They're very curious. They like to know something. So I jokingly say that if a guy tells a 7 woman, okay, I love you, it's not that it don't sound good, but she don't want to know why you love me. It's because of my beautiful hair, because I just got this car, something. There's sevens like to go down the rabbit hole. And it's so interesting. Most founders of religious movements are always number 7s. Here in the West, Christ's birthday is celebrated on the 25th. 2 plus 5 is 7. Then you got Elijah Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam. He was born on the 7th of October. Then you have Bishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa. He was born on the 7th. Then you have Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science. She was born in the 7th month on the 16th day. 1 plus 6 is 7. Then you got Charles Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, that was born on the 16th of February. 1 plus 6 is 7. Then you had, for those way back in the day, evangelist Billy Graham. Okay, he was born on the 7th of November. So 7s tend to be founders of religious movements. 7 has always been very special. Seven colors in the rainbow, 7 notes in the musical scale, 7 days in the week, 7 divisions of the phases of the moon. We undergo bodily changes every 7 years, from 7 to 14 to puberty, to 21, which is maturity, to 28, which is first solar return. So 7 is very, very powerful. 7s normally are known for their level of expertise, whatever their passion is, whatever their positions in life they hold, they normally are experts at it. No one questions them as a rule. The best day for the number 7 is always on a Monday, and their best months is always in March and July especially. Now we have the number 8. Anyone born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month, or if they come under the sign of Capricorn. Well, 8s tend to be rock solid. I call 8 the number of ancestry. It deals with the elders. Most of the African-American historians have been Capricorns, from Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Diop, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Ben Yekinen, Dr. John Hope Franklin, Dr. Diop, all Capricorns, all dealing with history, all dealing with ancestry, you know. 8s are very philosophical. 8s tend to be misunderstood. They tend to be late bloomers. They may be the last to marry, the last to have children, but they wind up having the last laugh in life. 8 tend to be children of fate or destiny. Let's say you were married in Dooku. Well, the person you married may not have been the person you had planned to marry, but as fate or destiny happened, you wind up marrying this person. All you thought coming up as a child, you might be going in this direction, but as fate or destiny happens, you go in another direction. So eights are very philosophical, but they're very faithful. They're very loyal. They're very dependable. But the impression wrongly is that people think eights are cold or distant, but don't forget it rules Saturn, the winter planet. So that's why it gives off that impression. But to know an eight is to love an eight. To know a Capricorn is to love a Capricorn, but you got to kind of really get to know them more. The best day for all Capricorns is on a Saturday, and especially during the months of January and the month of October. And finally, we get to the number 9. Those that are born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th, or if they come under the signs of Aries and Scorpio. 9 represents courage. 9 is universal, global, international, motivational. They tend to bring out the best in people. I jokingly say 9 people think they're the greatest thing since ice cream. You can't tell them nothing. They're the greatest thing since sliced bread. They just love themselves to no end. But 9s are leaders. 9s are courageous. So where 4 is the number of secret enemies, the 9 is the number of open enemies. Because of their courage and confidence, sometimes people misinterpret them as being cocky or arrogant. They're not. They just have a good opinion of themselves, okay? They can't help it. 9 people tend to be your humanitarians. They know people from all over the world. So no matter what part of the human family they are, you come from, they are able to get along very well with them. 9s have this thing about self-determination. They like to be the master of their fate, the captain of their ship. And this is one of the reasons why 9s are leaders. And in fact, 9 is so powerful that in Chaldean numerology, 9 was held as sacred, and thus they never included the 9. So the Chaldean system of the numbers only go from 1 to 8, not from 1 to 9 like the Pythagorean system. However, if the name adds up to a 9, then continue it, but they don't include the 9. That's how sacred a 9 is. So, and by the way, the best day for the number 9 is always on a Tuesday. Their best months are always in April and November. And then there's these master numbers that they talk about, the master number 22 and the master number 11. So let's start with the 11. The master number 11 is very visionary. It rules astrologically the signs of Leo. They tend to be ahead of the curve in terms of how they think, their concepts, their ideas. They're just very visionary, way ahead of the curve. It rules Sunday as a rule, and it also governs the period of February and August. The master number 22, they are referred to as the master builder, where the master number 11 come up with these great ideas and concepts. The master number 22 take those ideas and concepts and transfer into things that are very concrete, very tangible, that you can touch and examine on the physical plane. It is also governed by the months of February and August, and it attracts the sign of Aquarius, followed by Leo. So though that's it in a nutshell, but this is just a simple part. But if one was to pick up my book, Numbers in You, it's a 400-page book I wrote that talks about everything: health, relationships, career. It's a lot to it. But for the nature of this show, and because they're seeing me for the first time, I want to kind of keep it simple yet interesting enough for them to kind of follow along. But everybody's a number. If you don't have a month, day, and year you're born, I want to know how you got here, because everybody got here on some month, day, and year.
Thank you. So, you said something there?
No, I'm fine.
Yes. So thank you so much for that. And yes, please, everyone, I shared the link in the chat. I'm going to put it up once again real quick. As you can see, our brother Lloyd has a website. You can buy it directly from the website. The book is Numbers and You, a Numerology. I spelled that wrong, so I'm going to correct that. Numerology Guide for Everyday Living. Yes, grab the book and learn much more. So that we and this is not even just to sell the book, right? But this is just the basic importance of knowing this. Why is it important for us to understand people's numbers and our own numbers? Why is it important?
Well, numbers act as a guide. For example, let's say a person is in their car, and they're kind of getting from one destination to another. They use a GPS, which is numbers. And by the way, the GPS was developed by a woman of color, okay? Gladys West, a Black woman out of Virginia that went to Virginia State College, who then worked for NASA, who developed the GPS, okay? Well, you'd use numbers to do that. Everybody, let's say I met the most beautiful woman in the world like you, right? And I wanted to get to know you better.
Thank you.
And I says, girl, I need to know you better. Give me your number. And you say to me, well, Lloyd, just call any number. Well, I'll be calling numbers till the cows come home. But if I dial the right 10 numbers in the right order, I get the right person I'm looking for. See?
That's a great analogy.
So numbers have importance. We all have an age. People think we start out as 1 year old. No, we start out as 0. Then we're 1 day, we're 2 days. Then 365 days later, we are 1 year. And the process goes on that we're 2 years and 3 years. So ages have important changes too. So for example, with a number 8 person, their changes take place at ages 4, age 8, age 13, age 17, age 22, age 26, age 31, age 35, age 40, age 44, age 49. In other words, all of us have cyclical changes. It's like the seasons. See, we acknowledge the seasons. Now it's springtime. Then it's going to be summer. Then it's going to be fall. Then there's winter. Well, we have seasons in our lives too. So when we're born, we're in springtime. We're just infant. We're all cute and we smell good and everything like that. And then we get grown and ugly. I don't get it. So
and sweaty. Oh man. So for me, the thing that happened to me, and I guess how I see the importance of numbers, is as you were talking when I first met you and even today, it's almost like you've been stressing through life and trying to figure things out, and then you sit with Lloyd and he tells you this and you're like, it makes sense. And it's almost like
that's how numbers work.
You sit and you're like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It really makes sense. For example, for you to tell me that an 8 is often misunderstood, I was like, it makes sense, right? An 8 is often impatient with people who are not getting it and doesn't want to repeat themselves. It finally makes sense. It is not that I am stubborn. It is just who I am.
Yes.
And I have to learn how to manage who I am to get through life.
But you see, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
See, the beauty of it is we're so accustomed to thinking, well, how come this person don't think like me or feel like me? Yes. But you have to be as true to yourself as Lloyd has to be as true to himself. Yes. You see what I'm saying? And so once you understand that, this is why I'm able to get along with everybody. It's not that everybody's friendly or whatever, but I understand who they are. And I'm not trying to mold them into something that I expect of them as so much as what they want to be. With numerology, you learn how to be in the right place at the right time in harmony with the universe. Everybody's heard, girl, they was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But nobody asked me, well, how can I be in the right place at the right time in harmony with this universe? So with even all this confusion and the wars and the nonsense, there is order in our universe once you understand it. It's very simple.
I didn't have this question before, but it just came up as you were saying that. How does one who should not tell people or should not expect people to go one way, right, in one direction of doing things, how does that person organize community, especially in this moment where we need, at least for us Black people, to be on the same page about certain things so that we can detach from harmful connections and invasions that we've had of us? How do you do that without telling people, let's move this way, when you have so many numbers that behave differently?
Well, the beauty of this, although we're individuals, numbers all have a common thread. And once you find that common thread, we can weave everybody together, okay? So, for example, if you take during the 60s, well, 6 is about harmony, community, and family. One of the greatest things that took place throughout all of Africa, from Nkrumah to, Patrice Lumumba, all of that. Here in America, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, but that whole sense of unity and family took place during the 60s. Well, 60 deals with home and family. and community and service and things of that nature. So we can see it collectively in generational forms, or we can see it individually as you and I or other individuals that we meet. But there's a common thread that we all got here for a reason, for a purpose, and it is just a matter of to identify what that is and follow our star. But we're so busy looking in somebody else's backyard, we don't look in our own backyard. Because in our backyard, underneath our feet, could be acres of diamond. And you know what's so interesting? They talk about Africa being a poor country. Well, why is everybody in Africa after our gold and our diamond and our copper and our rhodium and our chocolate and our, our coffee? Why is everybody there? Why is everybody fighting to keep people in the African continent in a state of sleep? But then again, you have persons like Ibrahim Traore out of Burkina Faso. In fact, he's a number 5. His birthday was on the 14th.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah.
He's a number 5 person. So he has made a conscious effort. And what's happening is, in the 1800s, when Napoleon, the general, was going through China, he referred whatever he saw in the Chinese people then in their culture. He says, China is a sleeping giant. Thus that has come to pass. Well, I've said years ago, and I will say now, the next sleeping giant is Africa.
I think so.
Okay.
I agree.
No, I know so. I don't even think I know so. And it's just
I say think because I'm told I'm so arrogant and I think my way is the way, right? So, but I actually was having a conversation with my number 23 this morning, and we were talking about that very thing, China. And his view is that China is coming up, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be a Chinese future. And I said to him, and as we were talking about something we were watching, we've been conditioned by Western culture to think that only one nation must rule the universe.
Yeah,
right?
but all of that is the programming process, because
exactly
they only govern 10% of the world's population.
Exactly.
Okay? So it is about keeping people in a state of slumber, in a state of sleep. But again, for Africa to be the poorest nation, why is everybody going after Africa's gold and copper and rhodium and diamonds and all this?
Even China is beholden to Africa.
Excuse me. Everyone is beholden to Africa.
Right.
Everyone.
Right.
So what happens is, although I am an African American, my ancestry is African. Okay. So, and I try to tell people when I do my speaking, Africans were enslaved. We didn't come. If you look at the history toward here, if you thought that we were just slaves, no, we were enslaved. That means we came here by force. We're the only so-called immigrants that were brought here by force. Everybody else came here to escape whatever situations they were in. But basically, we were enslaved and treated with the worst indignities. And yet, we built this nation.
Brother, you say that, and in my head, it clicks. I'm like, we were all brought here by force, whether we came as
we were enslaved here,
because they destroyed our nations and forced us to come here.
Yeah, so you would get the impression that we volunteered to come here with our hands out in chains to say, okay, we're coming here as slaves. No, we were enslaved. We were brought here by force. Many of our ancestors lost their lives jumping into the Atlantic Ocean rather than to come here. The shark, everything, you know. So in theory, those that are here, the African Americans, was the best of those that survived that long journey.
I have
from
said
Africa
that
across the Atlantic Ocean to come here. But we all, and so what happens is, in the days of coming up, if you were from the Caribbean, I wasn't supposed to talk to you. And if you were from Africa, forget it. That is no longer the case now. So I know here in New York City, Harlem, where I am, there's a strong Caribbean community. We all get along. There's a strong African community. We all get along. In fact, they just celebrated Ramadan. They just finished Ramadan. You know what I'm saying? So there's that kind of acknowledgement. But it was all a divisive thing that I was not supposed to be connected with you and not see the common.
And so are we advised when we come here, don't hang out with them. They'll bring you down, right?
All of that is what they call the old typical scheme of divide and conquer. So that's all it is. But
Yeah.
more people are waking up. And so one of the things that they're very afraid of Ibrahim Touré is he's taken over. French is no longer the official language there in Burkina Faso. Okay. The judicial system where they were wearing white wigs.
I was so happy. Yes.
Off. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, he's taken over his gold mine. I mean, there's a lot of things. And in fact, they've had no less than about 20 attempted assassinations on his life to try to dethrone him, because they see the powers that be, whoever they are. I ain't trying to point no fingers, but the powers that be see that if at the way he's going, that if ever African continent begins to pick up on it, and they are, they're beginning to pick up on this, that, you know, we own this stuff. It all comes from us. But what happens is they make it, we send it abroad, then they sell it back to us.
Yeah.
Well, so it's those kinds of things. But that's kind of getting on the political side, but numbers got us in everything we do. Everything we do. And I see there's a person named Martha. She says she's a number 4. What are her best days for love and for growth? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, the month represents the physical attractions. Let me explain. Have you ever had the experience that you see somebody for the first time and you just click with them? You know, they don't say nothing. You just met them. You don't know them, but you just feel comfortable with them. Then at other times you meet somebody for the first time and they didn't do nothing, but you're not feeling them.
Exactly. Oh, see their picture. Go on.
So for her, her best months are people who come out of the months of February, June, July, and August. That means if she sees them, they can get along with them. The birthdays represent the mental attractions. So anybody in her case born on the 1st, the 4th, the 10th, the 13th, the 19th, the 22nd, the 28th, or the 31st of the month, mentally, that's the attraction. So if she is born on the 4, and I think she said this would explain why, if one of her parents could have been an Aquarius or a Gemini or a Leo, or born on a date that adds up to the 1 or the 4. So those would be it. And so let's see, 10, 21. Okay. So she says she sees, I see you number 4. That
was me responding to her.
Yes.
That was me responding to her. Yes.
Okay.
So yes, Mama Sharon Patterson asks, are you a number from your day of birth, or that she missed the beginning where you were explaining how the numbers happen, but are you a number?
That's a good question, Sharon. Yes. We are a combination of numbers all in the birthday. The month, the day, and the year of your birth tells me your journey from the womb to the tomb, from sunrise to sunset, your mission. It's like getting on the Amtrak or the New Jersey Transit, and you're going from New York Penn Station to whatever destination it is down going south. Okay. That's more of the long term. That's the month, the day, and the year. They call that destiny number, life path, birth path number. I referred to it. It represents what grade you're in the school of life, because most people are familiar with that term. You know, like, why am I here? Well, the month, the day, and the year you're born represents why you are here. What is your purpose and your mission over the long haul? However, the date of birth gives you more the immediate response. Okay. So that's where the difference comes in.
Yeah, but also explain how your number can be determined by, yes, your actual birthday, but also, for example, you could be a 19, but you're also, well, let me not do the 19. You could be a 23, but you're also a 5 because the 3 and 2. So explain how that works.
Well, in numerology, it is simple addition. So if somebody's born on the 23rd, 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 is called the root number. This is called the Fadic system, F-A-D-I-C. Anytime you have 2 or more numbers, you keep reducing them until there's only one number. So let's say there's a famous building here in Harlem on 125th Street. Well, 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals 8, and 8 is a business number. 125th Street in Harlem is a financial corridor. All the businesses run along 125th Street. Then another one is a number 6. Well, all the businesses run along 42nd Street. When I was invited to China to lecture, the most fortunate numbers are the 6 and the 8. Well, these are money numbers. So it makes sense. The major opposition number to China is the number 4. Well, the United States happens to be born on the 4th of July. So maybe that explains why there is kind of like on the same plane. So when I was in China, there was a woman who was visiting, and they have these motorbikes, right? So she put skull and crossbones and the number 4. She didn't have to worry about her bike being taken because 4 is a bad luck number there in China.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Now, here in New York, here in the West, there is an unlucky number 4, which is called a 13. Because in the tarot deck, the picture symbol of the tarot is called the death card. So as soon as you see the death card, it's like, oh no. And doesn't help because it's a picture symbol of a skeleton with a long curving blade cutting off the heads of men and women. Yet the United States was founded on 13. 13 stars, 13 signers of the Declaration. It was signed in 1300 Locust Street in Philadelphia. Thomas Jefferson that wrote the Declaration of Independence was born on the 4th month on the 13th day. There were 13 signers of him. E pluribus unum, 13 letters. The White House, 13 letters. Don't tread on me, 13 letters. If you look at the president, they're elected every 4 years. If you stayed in Washington, the area code is 202. The zip code is 20002, which is a 4. So, I mean.
And all of this, you finally are like, no wonder it's the nation of death.
I hadn't thought of it, but that's so interesting. That is so
No wonder
interesting.
it's the nation of death. It's done nothing but cause death.
This is a nation that has definitely created a lot of wars that's unnecessary.
From its inception, it killed indigenous people to be conceived.
I hadn't thought of that. That's an interesting perspective, and I can't, and you can't argue that, really.
No.
You can't. It has not been a peaceful nation.
So this is to understand life and the simplicity of life that we complicate so much is to be in a state of peace. And I thank you so much for providing us that understanding. At least those of us who are going to move accordingly with the knowledge you're providing, to learn the lesson and to grow from it. So thank you so much for that. There's something you said before. You said that numerology takes your naming into consideration. Professor Noire Badge, whom we've had before, has done a movie, DNA, using genealogy to change my slave last name. As you know, that's my number 23 I'm talking about. DNA, using genealogy to change my slave last name. So if numerology is naming, and as you said, it explains personality of the person, the character of the person, but to know your name is to know what you know. So what effect does an enslaver imposing their name on me and taking away my name that I was given at my birth for reasons that we understood in African culture and African spirituality? What harm does that? What effect? I won't be biased and give it my own. Let's see. What effect does it have on the person?
Well, it has a tremendous effect. So here at the time when the Nation of Islam was formed, many of them were X, like Minister Malcolm X. In other words, he was saying that he really doesn't know his original birth name.
Mm-hmm.
He know that Little, because he was Malcolm Little, he know Little was a slave name. It wasn't his African name. So thus he always assigned it as X. And X is always represent the unknown. Okay. And so the name does have a lot. So during the 60s period, that's when a lot of parents was naming their children by African and Arabic names.
Yes.
It wasn't no George Washington Carver, nothing personal, or Abraham Lincoln Jones, where we would name ourselves after presidents and things like that. We started naming them Abdullah, Anika, Kira, all names that to begin to reflect a consciousness of raising as identification. So many of us don't know our those African Americans here. We just know I'm Strayhorn. That is not my original African name, but that is the name for which my parents was exposed to, that I grew up and carried on in this Western civilization. But
Mhm.
names are very important. Even Shakespeare's one says, "What's in a name?" The response was everything. The name denotes your natural talents, your gifts, your skills, your abilities. There's a book I have by Gardner. He calls himself the Incredible Dr. Matrix. If he wanted to be a lawyer, he changed his name to fit that of being a lawyer. If he wanted to be an artist, he changed his name because each letter has a frequency in the name. You see what I'm saying? So
Wow.
even when I did your name, you have a frequency. You have two sixes, which are earth. You have two air numbers. So by element, your name is air and earth, which means very practical and logical at the same time.
You have no idea, brother. You have no idea how accurate you are with that.
Yeah. And I always tell people that it's three things they need to know, if nothing else, about their first name. One, who named you? Two, why did they name you that? Three,
Mhm.
what does that name mean? So in my case, Lloyd, I'm named after my dad, who was Lloyd. So I'm his firstborn. So naturally, that's how I got the name Lloyd. Okay.
Mhm.
Lloyd. So I know my name is Lloyd. I know why I got it, because my dad. What does it means? It means a Welsh. It's a Welsh name, and it represents from like Lloyd's of London. So
Mhm.
all of my uncles, my grandfather had this presence of mind to name all his sons, my uncles, by names of Imperial James, okay, uh, Lloyd's of London. You know what I'm saying? Peter the Great. You know what I'm saying? These were names of my uncles, but
Yes.
they all had but they meant something to my grandfather in that sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
name means everything. The name means everything.
Yeah.
So let's say you're walking down the street with your
Mhm.
girlfriends and
Mhm.
they say, "Hey, Sharon," you're not likely to turn around, but if they say, "Hey, Nduku," you probably stop, because
Yeah.
the name is our most important identifier.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to this.
It's so important for us to understand that, because and you're returning us, you're remembering us, to get back to a place where we were intentional in naming, because we understood it. We were placing fate on the child. For us Africans, naming, you didn't name your child because Barack Obama visited Kenya.
Yeah.
You named your child because they were born during harvest, because it meant something. They were born during heavy rains because it meant something. That heavy rain means something in your culture, and therefore you wanted to bring that fate upon that child, or a path for them to be guided by. um Speaking of African traditions and African culture, in many African traditions, life is understood as a living relationship between the seen and unseen. We do not see difference between the physical and the spiritual, our ancestors. So how do numbers function as a bridge between these realms in your work?
Well, just you said seen and unseen. I describe them as frequencies, because
Mhm.
each
And by the
number.
way, quickly, before I meant to say this to you before, I said to you, when you said to me what my name represent, and I said you have no idea. Lloyd has every idea, which is why he's telling us this. But go on, brother. I
Yeah,
digress.
yeah, but
Mhm.
but don't forget this whole thing of spiritual. The beauty about people of color, whether Africa or other parts of the world with color, we all seem to understand and respond to our environment, to nature.
Mhm.
And so we would name them, like you said,
Mhm.
like if I had a child and she was very dark skinned, I would name her Kira, which means beautiful dark one. Or if I
Yes.
had a son born on a Saturday, I would say his name is Amar, to be born on a Saturday. But these are the kinds of things we would do. And if you look at the West here, there's the general names like Catherine. Well, Catherine is spelled 24 different ways, for example. So I notice also when you go to other cultures, especially African and Asian and whatnot, a lot of their letters are vowels, A's, E's, I's, O's, and U's. Where in European, it's more consonants of Z's and N's and C's and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So if I went to Hawaii, if you look at Hawaii, that has about 3 out of the 5 letters, 5 or 6 letters in the name, 3 or 4 of them are vowels.
Yep.
Look at Africa, vowels.
Yeah.
So most of our African names have a lot of vowels in them, I notice, where Europeans don't.
What does that mean to have? Because
Vowels
nothing.
vowels
Exactly.
represent the soul, if that makes sense.
They represent the what?
Vowels represent the soul, the inner spirit.
Thank
So
you.
even when I met Minister Farrakhan, he said that what I did was called supreme mathematics. The
Mm-hmm.
only universal language on this planet is mathematics.
Yeah.
And when I say that numerology and astrology is an ancient African science in every sense of the word. They call Pythagoras the father of numerology. Well, guess where he learned it? He went into Kemet or Egypt to learn. So if one asks the logical conclusion, well, on what continent is Egypt? It's on the African continent. If you look at the Pyramid of Giza, it's built at the exact center of the world, center of the earth. The pyramid and the Great Wall of China are the only 2 man-made structures that's can seen from outer space. Okay, so, but again, it's the programming. It's like if you look here at the music here in this country in the West, jazz African, blues African, reggae African, hip hop African, country western African. Okay. Other than that, that was classical music that came from Europe.
Yes.
But all the modern music that we celebrate, that we give the Grammy Awards to, all that is African in its origin.
Yes.
And so I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. I'm just not going to take anything away from us.
Exactly. You're just giving us credit where it's due.
Yeah. I'll give other people their credit. I don't have a problem with that. But don't deny us. So many things we've invented, we've been denied the credit.
Exactly.
For it.
You said something that again, you bring understanding and just peace, because I don't have to keep wondering why. I have been telling on this broadcast, I've been telling our brothers and sisters, because I have several times encountered people, capitalism has a way, or a push, something that they're pushing now where they say, we can help you create value in yourself. I am a value something. Someone will sell themselves as, I bring value in people. And I said that capitalist is the only thing today that will make you feel like you have no value, right? Why they can pay the miners in Congo $2 for the day, and pay the person who sat comfortably on their chair, just buffing the diamond, 1,000, almost 5,000 a month, right? So, and when you think about it, that person who sat comfortably on the chair had no risk of life, did not encounter the threats that person in the mine did. And if we're going to base, the person in the mine should be earning more. But Western culture has us believing that the person who presents you the most valuable thing, right, the finished product that can be sold and bought and can be used whichever way they've done it, should be the one who's valued. But you also say, and I've said, as we go back to our African spirituality and we embrace who we are, we must understand that every single person has value.
Every single person on this planet
that is born has value, right? So you said, all of us have a talent, gift, and skill. Please speak on this more and help people understand that you need to stop undervaluing people, and you must appreciate every single person, child, man, woman, elder, crazy, as we call it, mentally insane. Every single person. Explain why we must value them.
Well, see, when you go outside of the West and that mindset, everything is about a profit, not people. That's what it's about. But if you go to other cultures where people look like us or people of color, we're more about ourselves, our elders and whatnot. Here, if you are past, a certain age, we want to
35 now. 35 is
put them in a nursing home and life goes on. So here it is. You got all these. They talk about poverty, but look at how many billionaires they are here. Okay. So I was listening at something today that a guy he was explained that a painting could be painted like a kid painted it. He'd buy for millions, put it in a thing, and then put it in auction to sell it for more millions. And that's how they make all of it's about money. They don't care about people. Yet it is the people that created these billionaires. Okay. Now that AI's come into it, now that Musk has developed robots, they think between AIs and robots, we're not going to need humans. But God in his infinite wisdom, the creator created us in this way that a robot does not have a soul. If you notice now, almost everything when you want to do, it's hard to get a person on the phone. Everything is in AI. Well, AI can't take into consideration human feelings, okay? That maybe I'm having a bad day. Most of us have had bad days, so we can understand that. AI knows nothing about having a bad day. AI knows nothing about AI is just programmed to be a certain way. And then again, it depends on who is programming these AIs. And a lot of people who's programmed do not look like us. So this is why no matter where we go, we're always perceived as a bad person. When I was in China, when I was in Egypt, when I was in India, no matter where, we have always been stigmatized, and that has been with purpose. That we are the bad people, yet I said people on this show, and I'll say it on your show, Black people are going to save this country, this world.
Yeah, no, they're going to save the universe because that's who we are. And as you were saying before, when I was asking you, when I was asking you before, how do you bring people together when they're so different? And you said it's by having a unified purpose. And our purpose is to bring back life because we have been sitting in death for too long. And because we are life nurturers as African people, it is our time now to rise, to bring life back to humanity and to the earth. I just very much so believe that. Sharon is asking again, how do we figure out our purpose with numbers? Do you explain that in your book?
Yes, and it's very interesting. One of the things you do is you take the month, the day, and the year you're born. So if I took a person born May 8th, I'll just on a year like say 1975, okay? If I was to do that, whatever those numbers add up to, that would be their purpose along this journey. Because we're all here on a journey.
Yeah.
It's what we do or don't do along our journey. Some people never find their way. People do find their way. But all of us are here for a reason. And so we're in this world at this point in our lives as living human beings to go through this experience. Imagine us born in the experience of the late 1700s, 1800s, when we were just slaves, when we were just treated like nothing and worked all day. You know, it's so interesting. During the slavery period, as they call it here, we would work from sun up to sundown. Yeah. So after the emancipation in the 1860s, and then there was this emancipation where whatever the case is, now all of a sudden we were lazy and shiftless.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Is all of it is a trick. And who said we are 3/5 of a man? What legal law paid that Black people are 3/5 of a man, which means we're not complete human beings?
I recently did a video asking who made the white man God.
Yeah. Who died and made them God? That would be absolutely correct.
I'll be covering the Monroe Doctrine on Friday to speak on this because, as you know, the Monroe Doctrine gives the United States gives itself the right to do many things under that doctrine that no one of who they're doing them to agreed to it. So again, who made the white man God?
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised you still got a show with your consciousness.
Listen, I think they don't think I am of any significance. Honestly, I think they don't think that I'm of any significance.
No, they know you're significant. Let me tell you this. Anytime we are broadcasting, whether it's on radio or podcast, we're already in the files. And that is the assumption you should go on. So don't think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. That I'm very aware of. Yes. I'm very aware of that. The thing that and I'll say this quickly because hopefully it will it will help us understand, because I'm very much about, we need to understand our enemy to be able to liberate ourselves. I understand I am being tracked. Absolutely, I have seen signs of it when I travel home and everything, and given where I used to work. The thing I know is they are a very arrogant people, and the people who think they know everything, and the people who think they know everything tend to dismiss, for example, the undermining of Iran, right? The undermining of Iran, and thinking that the tools you have that have sustained you so far will continue sustaining you in bringing down Iran, when Iran has decided to take a backseat and just be patient and build slowly behind the closed doors, and they might just surprise you and take you from under your feet, right? So they unfortunately have a tendency to be arrogant, and in their arrogance is where they will lose.
They undermine themselves. And see, what happens is people don't understand. In 1979, Iran became the name it is.
Yes,
The
exactly.
original name of Iran is Persia. So if one looks at the history of Persia, Persia is thousands and thousands of years old.
Exactly.
So because I guess in people's hubris or arrogance, it ain't about that. And
No,
so
it's a I'm calling it a virus, this infection by Western culture that we are currently under. Fela Kuti called it zombie, where we have reduced our intellectual capacity, has been held imprisoned. We're not operating intellectually as we should, as we can, because they have locked us with media, with video games, with worrying about how we look, with putting weaves on. We're busy worrying about everything else, but using our brain
that's
to
the distraction. That's the distraction I was talking about. Exactly the distraction. So this way, it's like you don't see what the left hand is doing with the right hand. You know, the right hand may have something over here, but the left hand is holding. It's like a guy that runs a 3-card Molly or these shell games on the street. You know, they pull a little thing and then they shuffle the shells around, and you think you found it, and you know, you look and you don't, and they've got your money. So it's a shell game of life. And what's happening is there is a new awareness. And let me say this. In November of 2024, Pluto, went into the sign of Aquarius. Pluto is the planet of transformation. Aquarius is a sign of revolution. And I was explaining then that what's going to happen is, therefore, symbolically, winners become losers and losers become winners. Now, what do I mean? So those that are high, those that are elite, those that are the bureaucrats, or whatever the case is, they're going to fall, such as the Epstein thing that's going on. Notice how many people have got caught up into that net. When I say that those who have nothing, that's the little guys who've been struggling, trying to make ends meet, but their time is coming. Their time is coming. So it's and by the way, it's going to stay there. Pluto is going to stay in Aquarius until 2044. It stays there for 20 years. So you're going to see a profound change in the weather, so to speak, symbolically, that people can't imagine. So yes, they will say, well, by 2030, you will own nothing. I think, although there are certain powers that be to want to have dominant control, only the Most High controls, as far as I know.
Exactly. So for African people, for one, Ubuntu, it is for us to get that message and realize that we have now 20 years to get busy. We have 20 years to get
and a
busy.
whole lot can happen in the 20 years too.
And to be very intentional in that getting busy. Yes. You said before, we undergo changes in maturity every 7 years. And again, you say something and I'm like,
yeah, everything is in divisions of 7. 7 is an division.
In African culture, we had rites of passage because we are remembering who we are. I want, and I'm personally, and hopefully with others, we're going to build an African grounded and African culture education system and detach from the Western and for other foreign education systems. So how is this related to the African rites of passage? Please speak, my
Well,
brother.
well, for example, the closest, first of all, they talk about the 7 continents. Well, of the 7 continents, Africa is the largest, which I think is ironic. Okay. Not only that, but when you talk, so the Muslim community just finished their Ramadan. All right. For a Muslim to make his Hajj, he goes to Medina. He must circle a cobblestone 7 times, and then the ritual is complete. So 7 is a unifier. Seven is just one of those numbers. I don't care what part of the religious family you come from. Everyone agrees 7 is a sacred number. 7 is a very special number, and so 7 is in nature. So from 0 to 7, that's the age when you are infant and you're learning, and then from 8 to 14, that's the second division of 7. That's when they start going through puberty stages. Okay, then from that third division, from 15 to 21, that's when we start reaching levels of maturity. So 7 times 7 is 49, and this is when we begin to make critical decisions and stuff like that. So everything is in divisions of 7, and that's why I was naming. And in fact, the gentleman that founded the reggae hip hop was born on the 16th of 7. I forgot his name right now; it escapes me. But it's 7. So when I'm talking about religious movements, spiritual movements, they're all 7s. Even in the Bible, they talked about circling the walls of Jericho 7 times. They sounded the trumpets 7 times, and the walls came tumbling down. So, and then for those who feel that this is something that goes against the laws of God, the Bible is actually a numerology book. And in fact, when I refer to them to the Old Testament, the 4th book of Moses is called the Book of Numbers, where God instructed Moses on the 2nd day of the 2nd month to name the armies by their name and their poll. So if you want to know the 12 tribes of Israel, all of that's found in that section of the Bible right there.
And it's interesting you say that, because for those of us who understand that the Bible is a man-made book, made by men who visited our people and learned about things like numerology, they are using our culture.
Well, that's true. And in fact, in the original, they had to change some of the language to justify, or to just give the justification to slaves why they were the masters and not them. So the Bible is man-made. I think some of these Bibles have been written hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, to be tweaked like this and tweaked like that.
With different perspective and biases.
Yeah. So
interesting.
So the Bible was used to justify slavery too.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the pain, and the pain will be healing, right? It's a pain that is being felt to provide healing. The pain in it all is realizing and coming to the understanding that your own culture was used to enslave you, your own culture, but you didn't see it, that it was your own culture. You come to realize later, after the enslavement and many, many years of Ma'afa, but it was your own culture. And then the question is now for us Africans to ask ourselves, how then do we move forward strategically and with understanding, knowing how our enemy used us, so that we avoid this from happening again?
Well, again, this is when winners become losers and losers become winners. And we know that in terms of world domination, Africa has been lowest on that list. Yet and as I said, it says Africa is a very poor country, but I just find it ironic that when you go for all the gold, you go to Africa. When you go for the diamond, the cobalt, all the precious metals, the rhodium. They used to steal catalytic converters. What's happening is an ounce of rhodium is in thousands of dollars per ounce. And it was used in the catalytic. I never understood why they would jump on the cars. I said, what's the magic about them stealing this catalytic, whatever they call that thing. But the point is, it's so expensive because where does it come from? Africa. So the copper, the chocolate, the diamonds, the gold,
everything.
So, but and see, so therefore, we're not supposed to be awakened to the richness, which
Know that.
reflects the richness of who we are. We are rich. We are extremely rich in more ways than we can.
Yeah.
But you know, the elders used to have this saying in the Harlem community: "Don't wake them, let them sleep." There's an old saying: "Well, don't raise the consciousness, just keep people asleep."
Yeah.
And even Elijah Muhammad says, "We are deaf, dumb, and blind to the knowledge of self."
Before you said, and it's interesting, but by the way, to everyone listening, and thank you all for supporting and joining us. Thank you for everyone who submitted questions in the comments. If you still have questions, do not be shy. Ask it. Say, my cousin's birthday is on this day. We'll all know it's you, but say my cousin if you
And
want.
to answer Sharon's question, yes, if they pick up a copy of my book, Numbers in You, and I think you put my how
I
to
put
get
it there, and I'm going to put it up again. The link, how to get it on the website. I'll put
and
it
I
up.
also have a mobile app too that they can get on there too.
Nice. I have it, and let me quickly, as you talk, I'll pull it up for everyone to see.
Yes, it's star
I'll
8.
pull it up for everyone to see. But I have not been correcting you as you say Africa country. I have not, and I'm glad I haven't. But now I want to explain to everyone why I didn't do that. Because people tend to get offended when you say Africa country, and they're like, "There's so many countries. Why are you calling us a country?" But Africans, again, let us take the moment and use it for wisdom and strategy. Yes, we are. We've been seeking to be united, so we are Africa, the country, the one, that one, right? Not the under it, many units, but Africa, the country. Africa, the force is who we are. And so let's start thinking that way, especially for us Pan-Africanists. Let's start thinking that way. There's no need to worry about whether Africa is being called a continent or a country, especially when we are pursuing unity and moving as one force. I can sit with you all day. What would it look like for numerology to be practiced in alignment with African spiritual systems rather than the Western individualistic or purely predictive approaches that have been used to deal with numbers before?
Well, don't forget, numerology and astrology are African in its concepts.
Exactly. But because we're speaking to whitened minds, colonized minds, and they see numbers as a Western thing, they see numbers as white philosophers' thing. As you return us and help us remember, how can we practice using numerology? What did numbers do for us in African spirituality? This thing that we own.
Well, it acts as a guide. It acts as an awakening. It gives you a sense of direction, a sense of purpose, a sense of reason for being here. Okay. In Western mind, numbers are looked at as okay, the profit on at the bottom line. You know, how can we make money? How can we all make a profit? So it's been acknowledged that banks here manipulate gold and silver, things of that nature. All of it. So it's that kind of mindset that's been used to manipulate numbers. We use more numbers of a spiritual base with a spiritual purpose. We knew about when to do this. To like, if you should talk to Muslims here, they'll have their salats. You know what I'm saying? Their little rituals, they time. Listen, there's a whole lot to this. There's a whole lot to this.
So if someone added, you said the month, the day, the year they were born and got a 4, what is their purpose?
That purpose is to determine why you're here. And so what happens is, I used to say, if you took a person's month, day, and year, and whatever that single digit is, they refer to it as destiny number, life path, birth path number. However, if one is not familiar with any job you have has its own jargon or lingo or language. So if you're working in film, you will say something, and if I don't work in film, it would go right past me. But for you, you would understand.
Yes.
So I've learned over the years to say, okay, Lloyd, everybody is not into numerology. So I won't say, well, your month, day, and year, this is your destiny number, because that then evokes the question of, well, what does that mean, my destiny number? So, but most of us have understood or heard the phrase at some point in our lives, being in the grade in the school of life. We all heard about being in the school of life. So my thing is what grade you're in the school of life.
Hmm.
Okay. And just you take the month, your day you born, add the year together, and that will tell you what your purpose is, what your direction is, how you're heading, what you're here to learn. And like
Hmm.
in all things, if you don't learn the lesson, you get left back and you got to repeat it all over again.
Yeah. That's how it used to be, at least in my school, before everyone
My
became a
school
winner.
too. Yeah.
Before this culture we have now, and everyone is a winner. So you don't even allow,
Everybody's passed along.
right? You don't even allow. We are even now denied the privilege of learning from mistakes and growing, because we're being told now everyone is a winner.
Yeah.
What,
So therefore, you don't have to make an effort.
which
See,
is why there's a bunch of
because you know,
mediocre,
you
fragile,
know that whether you make an effort or not, you're gonna go to the next grade.
right? And mediocrity is now held up, and here we are wondering why bridges are falling and buildings are not the same quality they were back then.
And
Um,
everybody, unfortunately, is about the dollar. Or
yes,
the
the
phrase
quick
they
one.
used over the last couple of years is chasing the bag.
Hey, there you go.
And so it's nice to chase the bag, but
Mhm.
a lot of people who do it are like they'll have all this money, but they're not fulfilled, or they
Very
don't have a
peaceful.
soul. And you have certain powers to be that makes tons of money, but couldn't care less about the little guy that doesn't.
Yeah.
That's like me sitting across from you with a, a full plate of food, and you across from me with nothing on your plate.
Mm,
And I
mm.
don't even ask, would you like some or share? So that's how it is.
Oh, Ron English. Ron English? Am I saying the name right? Ron English. And fractals regarding numbers. Are you familiar with that? Speak on it, please.
What happens to be again?
Ron English is the name? The fractals regarding numbers. Fractals. You said something before. No, you called it a Fadic system. Fractals.
The phatic system. The
No,
phatic
not the Fadic system. Fractals and numbers. Regarding numbers, fractals. The
or
concept of
fractions.
fractals, yeah. Guess
I'm
fractions.
not quite sure what that is, so I don't know
Yeah.
how to answer.
Clarify your question and submit it again, please. Thank you. Clarify your question. We need some clarity. While that is happening, what does it mean from your perspective to live in season according to one's numbers?
Well, the beautiful part is when you're in alignment, there's less wear and tear on your soul, your body, your resources, your mind. That's the whole purpose of being in the right place at the right time. When you're in harmony with the universe, everything flows. I mean, here's what happens. Everyone has had a experience where that day just went incredibly well. They could do no wrong. But if they knew how to time it, they can make that happen far more than just that occasional thing that happened. And then the positive will have it, well, man, this day was a disaster. No matter how hard I tried, nothing was working. Or had they had this knowledge, they will understand why. And sometimes it's like going against the tide. It just depends on the ebb and flow of the tide up the Nile. And once you understand that, you can always be in lockstep. And again, so if you're flowing with the Nile or flowing with the tide, it's easy. But try to swim upstream. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? You may get up there, but you're not going to get there fast. There's going to be resistance, and probably by the time you finally get to where you want to go up the stream, you're exhausted.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, on your last breath, barely got there, panting to the last breath. So it makes a difference when you're going with the flow versus going against the flow. Well, that's what numerology teaches you how to be,
Yeah. And
because
for
we
those
all have a rhythm.
And for those who need specific like guidance on that, because I'm going to call myself a student of yours because I've sat now twice in your classes, and I want to know more. So because I have heard Brother Lloyd speak, and because it's connecting with a lot that was already in me, this is especially important for those of you who are running business, right? And for those of you who are employed, this is important for you to know that today maybe is not the day to bring a subject to my boss. Today maybe is not the day to talk to my boss about a promotion I want. Today
Timing
maybe,
is everything. Timing is everything.
right. And so therefore you start planning accordingly. Should I submit this application to this job on this day? No,
Yeah,
today's
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are
So
days that are better for one than for others.
thank you.
Everybody has their season. This is why everybody don't get up at the same time, eat at the same time, go to bed at the same time. You know what I'm saying? We all got our seasons, but we're so busy trying to look at everybody else doing and not focusing on what we need to do for ourselves. To
Yes.
me, it's very simple. But again, I've been doing this a long time, so anything you
Yes,
do,
you have. But we are blessed because you have, and because you speak the way you do, and you've mastered the patience to speak with us who are lost and help us find our way. We are very grateful for it. So the
yeah.
book again is Numbers and You, a Numerology, and I should change
A
that.
numerology guide for everyday living.
Yes.
Actually, I've published a total of 6 books. 4
Mm-hmm.
of them are on Amazon.
On it, yes. Go
So
ahead.
if they don't go to my website, just go to Amazon and click on my name, LLoyd Strayhorn. But if you go to my website, just put a dash between Lloyd and Strayhorn. It's lloyd-strayhorn.com. And you see I have a free monthly newsletter that people can get every month. It is free. I don't sell the person's mailing list or anything like that.
Mhm.
You know, you can download my app. I also have an Astro numerology calculator where you can put in your name and birthday to find out whether your name is more air. That's it. Is more air or whatever
And
the
when you
case is.
open it, that's the app.
Yep. When you open it, yep.
All right, y'all? Yeah.
So it's very nice. This, and once I learned, see, and that's what got me on this. That I'm new to it. I'm reading about Pythagoras being the father of numerology, the father of geometry. Then one day it dawned on me when it talked about where he went to learn, and it was in Egypt. Once that dawned on me, Lloyd, well, what continent, brother, is Egypt?
Yes.
Okay. Other
And
than
this
that,
is why they've tried for so long to take it out of the African continent, because of
I know, but it was historian
hardships.
Dr. Diop. It was Dr. Diop that said, no. Y'all can't move it over here. See, they want to move it further west.
Because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that it influenced a lot of their civilization, that we actually civilized them.
Africa is the father of civilization.
It's not a thing to say that we are saying because we as Black people claim everything. We literally did civilize them. They were
Yeah,
uncivilized,
yeah.
not showering,
But you see, that's not the way
overeating,
the narrative is supposed to be.
disease
The
until
narrative
the
is
Greek
supposed
and
to
the
be just the
Romans.
opposite. They know this. The scholars and the people in positions know exactly.
It's in their books, Brother Lloyd.
Yeah,
It's in their books.
it's in the museums. When I was in Egypt, I went to Cairo Museum, all the artifacts. I mean, listen.
Hmm.
Why do you think Napoleon destroyed the nose of the Sphinx? When that big nose, which is African in its origin, its characteristics. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When you look
And
at some
that's
other structures, the broad lips and the wide nose, that's African in its, you know what I'm saying? That's not Nordic. That's not
exactly.
European. No.
You said something else I want to point out, and I say I want to point it out as I say to us. Let us not be too quick to embrace some of the things that AI represents. And I'm more specific talking about, as you described the nose, the imagery of AI. Let us retain our skill and our art of drawing ourselves from imagination and knowing who we are. Let's not let that talent be an AI thing. But also, you said that AI cannot tell you how you feel, right? It doesn't cater for emotion. And I've
Doesn't
said,
have a soul.
I will
It
continue
doesn't.
to say, AI is not intelligent. Yes, they've told you that it is called artificial intelligence so that you can think it is, but it isn't intelligent. It isn't.
AI to me is simply an input of all the information that's been gathered in books and things of that nature.
It's a
But it doesn't
database.
have a soul. I like how you put that. That's all it is, really.
It's a
It's
database. And the science that they have invented that we did not have before is how the efficiency of that database to grab the information in a second from the everywhere it is. That's the only thing that is intelligent about AI, to
well,
respond
you
to a
know, the
prompt.
irony is the concept of AI was invented by a black doctor who came up with the concept of AI. So see, these things don't surprise me.
No.
It was a black man who created it. In fact, I'll send you the video. his name and everything, how he came up with it. So it's
send it to me, and as we talk about, as we continue to relearn and remember, I'm going to share with our people. Let me come back and join you on stage here in a full way. So tell us. Oh, hold on. Ron Eglash, do you see it? The question in the chat, in the comments?
It gives a talk on African origins of fractal mathematics with practical examples of villages, fences. Want to know, Honorable Brother Lloyd. I've gotta, the one thing about me, Brother English, is I know what I know. I've not heard of fractal, not unless it's explained to me. I would be interested and open to learn it. So I can't answer that, but the fact that practical examples with the villages and fences and hairstyles and agriculture and things like that, I'd like to know that. Could you,
as you continue to move, because I mean, life is a continuous process of learning, right?
Yes.
And you do get the answer. When you do get the answer to this, please reach out and we will share it.
I would love to. I would love for them to teach it to me. Or where do I get it from so I can study it?
Definitely. And anyone else who knows it, please share so that we can add it to the collection of information.
Okay. I never heard of it, but thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
But notice on the African origins, again, it's African in its origin. You know what I'm saying? So it's just amazing. It's just amazing how all these things work.
I was going to say, let the people know where they can reach you, how they can support, and then I'll say a few things before we close that are not related to our conversation. But they
can go to LLoyd-Strayhorn.com and they can see all my services. So those want to get a private reading, they go to LLoyd-Strayhorn.com and schedule a time and a day and a time that's convenient for them. I have several tiers from a half hour to an hour, over an hour. So it all depends on what they want. And and I have my app on there. I have my calculator on there. So for everything, just go to my site, LLoyd-Strayhorn.com, and click on it and pick one at your choice. And then please get a copy of my book. I have 4 of my 6 books available on Amazon. I tell them they need to get the orange book. That's this book here. Well, you can't see it but anyway.
Because you have the background. Yes, I'll put it up in the, I think the picture I have of the thumbnail is you holding the book. So the book you see Brother Lloyd holding in the thumbnail, that's the book he's talking about. Again, the title of the broadcast today is the book.
Yes.
When you go to, again, that's the website, LLoyd-Strayhorn.com. Lloyd is with 2 L's, LLoyd-Strayhorn.com, for those of you who are listening on audio only. Any other place they can find you, brother?
Well, they can find me every place. I've done my own shows. I do a podcast every Monday and Wednesday on YouTube.
Remind us, what channel is that?
That's on YouTube. So when they go to YouTube, just type in Numbers in You, named after my book. Okay. YouTube, Numbers in You.
Yeah, there you go. When you type in YouTube Numbers in You, and me, this is maybe because I do follow the
numbers or
name
Numbers LLoyd Strayhorn. Yes, whatever. By the way, I just sent you the video about the gentleman, the African American. Listen, the cell phone he invented, the elevators. I mean, if we do that, there's this interesting book I have that says Black people invented everything. And it is almost true. But yet all the things we've invented has been, so for example, why you think now DEA is suspended? They want to kind of like tone down Black History Month and whatnot, as if to deny, you know how life works. Let's say, for example, there's concrete, and you know how a blade of grass comes through the concrete? That's us. It can't be stopped. It can't be stopped.
Yes. Yeah. The Black people are resilient. I did a video recently, mostly geared towards our brothers and sisters on the continent, explaining to them that Black Americans are not lazy. In fact, they are the most resilient.
But that's the stereotype.
Yes.
They told us Well, we couldn't come over there, and some of the most beautiful cities are there on the African continent. Okay,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So
White people go to Africa all the day to find peace,
all
but
the
they're
time, all the
telling
time,
us not to go. Yes,
all the
exactly.
time.
Yes.
So this is why they will tell you when you come here, well, you shouldn't come to Harlem, or me when I come there, well, maybe you shouldn't go because you know it's a lot of jungles and stuff like that, and all that is with purpose. Why should there be a unity between the both of us? We are one.
Yes.
I'm just an extension of my ancestor that I was not aware of. I have to understand this.
Brother Lloyd, I am not going to keep you long. Thank you so much for joining us. Any
Thank you,
last
thank you,
words
thank
before
you.
you leave? Any last words before you leave? And I'm going to stay a few minutes just to make a
I
quick.
want to thank you and number 23 very much for inviting me on the show. Okay. I did not mean to get political. I should have stayed on the numbers, but
Oh, no,
see,
no, 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 no. This is not, again, brother, we don't apologize. This is not the place. Everything is numbers. Politics is numbers.
yeah, yes, it is. Yes,
We need to understand these men that we are electing
yeah,
and women.
yeah.
Everything is
And so when
numbers.
you talked about Iran, Iran was founded on the 9th of April of 1979 under Aries.
Mm, mm,
Anybody
mm.
knew about that sign? See, even metaphysically, to approach it, if they'd approach it just from an astro, for example, the New York Stock Exchange was founded on May 17th. It's the number 8. When the stock exchange is doing well, it says the stock market is bullish. Well, what is the symbol of the sign of Taurus? The bull. I mean, there's so much in your face, in plain sight, you know. So anyway, what can I tell you? But I
Like the
enjoyed this very
evidence of the thievery, the evidence that it is our knowledge they are using to sell us something that they claim to be theirs, is now that we know, we must move
Yeah.
differently.
And I will say this, as the Honorable Elijah, who founded the Nation of Islam, once says, we are deliberately kept deaf, dumb, and blind to the knowledge of self.
Yes, and that must change. Yes,
Oh, it
that
is changing. It is changing.
yeah. So I thank you so much, Brother Lloyd. Have
Thank
yourself a
you.
restful day. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank you.
for making the time to come to talk to us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm
Be
very
well.
honored. Have a nice day and be well. Bye bye
You,
now.
you too. You too. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for supporting in the chat and asking your questions. Thank you all for taking your time out of your day. Today is a Sunday. A lot of you are resting, and I'm grateful that you joined us today. So I wanted to stay on quickly and just make a quick outreach. I put out something yesterday. Myself and my family are reaching out to the community for support. The details are in the GoFundMe. Please go visit that page. And if you can support, please support. We are returning to a communal way of being, right? And part of that is realizing that we don't have to struggle through everything ourselves, especially when we're in situations where we can't do it, or it's going to be a huge struggle to do it. So we are reaching out to the community to help us, and I am grateful for everyone who will help. Do not feel obligated, because just like myself, I have seen friends who are doing fundraisers that I wasn't able to support because of my current financial situation. But I send them love. I share their links so that others who can contribute towards them, and every amount is appreciated. The point is for us to bring the little that we have as a collective to make monsters of collections that can actually do stuff. And I appreciate everyone who supports that. Be well. Despite the challenges, we have each other. Despite the challenges, we are getting understanding. Peace to you as well, Rico Sadiq from Los Angeles. Peace. I am low-key jealous of you, Rico, because you're probably enjoying some nice weather more times throughout the year than I do. But peace to you, and continue enjoying that weather. We shall live vicariously through you. But yes, thank you to everyone who has supported. Thank you to those who have been there from the beginning and have been with us, whether I did a show or didn't do it. You have been there. Those who text, those who forward, those who join Swahili classes even when I'm not doing the lessons every week and we end up renegotiating how we're going to do it. Those who withstand my abrasive personality and do not misunderstand me and get to find out who I am and love me for who I am. I appreciate you all. and let's continue building this. And like Brother Lloyd said, I'm surprised you're still doing this broadcast. They will come for it. And when they do, let's figure out what else we're going to do to continue the work. So peace to you all and be well. Thank you all. Kwaherini.